Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Peak Performers. This is episode number 14, winning on and off the field with NFL Hall of Fame quarterback Fran Tarkenton. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about employees, how to get more sales, and the importance of giving back and humility. This episode was recorded in front of a live audience. We left off on part 1, where Fran is talking about the one mission that all businesses should be about. Here's Fran Tarkenton.
Because the mission of business is one thing. Got to help people. I've got Matthew over there, and he's got a Princeton degree and a Harvard business degree, and I'm not sure how much he learned there, but he really has become a great businessman. And I don't say that facetiously. I don't know, but anyway, so we come in, and I'm saying of what happened here. I said, you know what? Why don't we build our own studio and do our own content? We have built a state-of-the-art studio, just as good as CNN's got, just as good as Fox News has got, and we can stream out video with technology today that's CNN quality, HD TV quality, and we can do it for pennies on the dollars. And so we're about to launch, and what we're doing is I'm going out and getting access to content, and content are people. I'll give you one go on that. I'm sitting up. Nick Saban's a great friend of mine. Fairly successful guy, would you think? Now think about the world of a college football coach today. I mean, to win, consistent, forget this, the SEC, but national championships with 18 and 19-year-old, 20-year-old kids, it's tough. He's won what, Matthew, 4 or 5 national championships? He's 64 years old. Every year he's in contention. Can you learn from somebody like that brings results and gets people to do it? So we're up the lake this last week, and we were having dinner. This time we're over at his house. And so he and I are talking, and the rest of the people, because Saban likes to talk football, because football, again. So he said, you know what we ought to do? We ought to go up here at the waterfall. That's a golf club he and I belong to up there. We ought to have a leadership session there. I said, I got a better idea. Why don't you come down to my studio, and I'll be the host, and I want to get you to talk about leadership, and I'll throw in some things, and let's do Nick Saban on leadership and how you win, and how do you get productive, and how you build partnerships, and how you get teammates, and because you can learn a lot from Nick Saban. You can learn a lot from Peyton Manning. So what we're doing is we're going to launch in 2 weeks our own webcast, and we're getting all kind of partners, all the way from the Hall of Fame of the NFL to big companies that want to share in taking our content message out to the world. And so we've opened up a whole new world leveraging technology in the way of webcasts. Because they will look at video content.
I went on your website yesterday and saw the studio. Amazing.
Yeah.
If you haven't done so, go to the website. You've really built an incredible studio there.
What I've also learned in all the television work I've done, most people, I got a studio and I got a camera, and got to have a producer. I've got a guy in town, I didn't know he was living here. I've worked with Monday Night Football for 46 years. Up until last year, he did NFL football producing, and you got to have producers to make the show run well. He lives here in Atlanta, so I've got my producer. We even went so far. This is a detail I think we have to do in all of our businesses. Not just we got cameras, we got this. Let's just throw something up there. Let's get the great content, but let's make sure it's produced right. And so we even had reputation-wise one of the better makeup people So I had the makeup woman come over to train my people on how to apply makeup for everybody, because if we're going to, let's make everybody look as good as they can look. And when you're 76 years old, you need all the help you can get.
I wanted to take some questions from the audience. Fire away. Yes?
You talked about early in your career, you learned some great lessons about sales and selling. Can you share that with us?
About sales?
Sales and selling.
Yes.
Oh, I know a lot about selling. I don't believe in selling. I don't believe in selling. I believe in the most important thing you do is develop relationships. You build trust. I do business with people I trust. I do business with people that I've built a relationship with. And that's what you do. I'll give you a Billy Payne story. Now, don't anybody laugh here now. Everybody that doesn't know who Billy Payne is, raise your hand. Or just everybody that knows who Billy Payne is, raise your hand. We got a few. Billy Payne played football at the University of Georgia. He went there on scholarship as a quarterback, and he wasn't a good enough quarterback. He became a defensive end. His father in 1947 was the captain of the Georgia football team. Billy got out of college and went out to Dunwoody and was a real estate lawyer. And after he did that, he had done some church work out there, and he got really fired up about that. And I remember having lunch with him one day, and he said, you know, I want to bring the Olympics to Atlanta, Georgia. I said, what kind of Olympics you talking about? You know, the Clark County Olympics, Clayton, Georgia Olympics. He said, no, I want to bring the World Olympics to Atlanta, too. I said, you're crazy. They don't come to Atlanta, go to Paris and New York and Los Angeles and so forth. He said, would you help me? I said, I don't know what I can do to help you. So what he did, he went out, went full-time. He got law firms in town to give him 12 different law firms to give him one of their younger, brighter lawyers, male, female. They were on his team. And they went out and they said that in order to get the Olympics, they've got the people that are on the Olympic Committee that vote for it, and they're from all the countries of the world. So, and you got to win their vote. So that's sales 101. So Billy Payne gets his people, they find out who the people are, and they divvied them up, and they flew out of Atlanta to all those different countries, and they had dinner in the people's homes. And they built relationships. And then invited the people to come here. And when they came here, Billy and the people didn't take them out to restaurants. We entertained them in our homes. And Billy Payne has been asked a zillion times, how'd you do it? You know what he said? We made friends. See, business is not very complicated. You make friends. If you make friends, you have a chance. That's selling. That's getting revenue. Not selling, it's making friends. And that's what he did. And the Olympics came to Atlanta, Georgia. It's remarkable. Yes, I saw a hand back there.
Employees. How do you get the most out of employees? How do you build a successful team?
Well, same way you build a successful football team. Sam Walton didn't call people employees. Sam Walton called them associates. All the Walmart people were associates. I think when Matthew and I both separately interview everybody that comes to work for us. I make it very, I said, you know, you're here because you've got good credentials, got a good background, but the most important thing here, if you're going to work here, you've got to get along with everybody. We don't want a cancer in this place. You've got to be courteous, you've got to be kind, you've got to be respectful of everybody. And you're here because we want you to be part of the team. We need you to think, use your brain, and find a way to help us build better products and services for our people. And by and large, that happens. We have a culture in our place. We miss sometimes? Absolutely, but not much. But we have a culture of respect, of love. My door is open all day long, and they come in. I go to their office and sit down. And I ask them, I've got a young guy from Tech. He's been with me a year and a half. And we've got him on some projects that really he can do. And all technology related to get us in more platforms in front of more. And he's a Georgia Tech yellow jacket to the core. He's convinced the ACC is better than the SEC. That's how distorted he is.
You kept him?
Oh yeah, I kept him. And I call him King David. And he, so I go into his office at least twice a week. But now he's coming in my office. We got him on some really neat projects. And I said, you're the president of those projects. You're the CEO. And you need to make them work, or you might get to the point where you don't think they can work. Come tell me that you don't think they're going to work, and we'll get you off the project. But you give them responsibility. We don't yell, we don't scream, we don't embarrass. We want people to think of the craziest ideas, and rather than say it's the crazy, I say, it's good. I'm not sure that's where we want to be, but it's a good idea. Or it's good thinking. Thanks for your input. And our people range from 23, Matthew, I guess, to me. And I'm not the boss. I'm their partner. And at quarterback in football, I was never the boss. I get paid more money than they did. I've got more responsibility than they did. But I involved all of my teammates in what we did. And when you do that, and you develop that culture, you have a better chance of making it work and coming up with solutions. I'll give you a football. Pete Carroll coached at Minnesota for a while, and he's the coach at Seattle Seahawks. And Pete Carroll was a head coach after he coached as assistant. I knew him as an assistant, but I didn't play for him. And he went and got the head coaching job of the New England Patriots. Got fired after 2 or 3 years. Got the head coaching job of the New York Jets. Got fired. So he's a loser, right? Pete Carroll never stopped learning and listening, and he said, I made mistakes. Went to Southern Cal, won a national championship. Went to Seattle. They were nothing. Nothing had happened. Gets the right general manager. They build a culture, and look what they've done. And so about 2 years ago, I got a call from him. And he says, I've got this guy, Percy Harvin. Percy Harvin was one of the greatest college players in the last 10 years. Played at Florida, dynamic player, wide receiver, speed, this, everything. My team, Minnesota, drafted him number 1. He was dynamic. Ran kickoffs back, punts back. Could have been, outside of a quarterback, the most valuable player. But he was a cancer in their locker room. And they traded him to Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll was right on the cusp of having his team up there. Pete Carroll gave 4 or 5 draft choices for him, a first and a second. Came in, got hurt. Played in the Super Bowl, made a couple of plays in the Super Bowl, and they won the Super Bowl against somebody in Yankee Stadium. Well, not Yankee Stadium, it's whatever the new stadium in New York is. They beat Denver. They beat Denver and Peyton. So now the next year they start out, and they're 4-4, Seattle. Super Bowl champs, 4-4. He says, I got this. I don't know what to do with Percy Harvin. I said, let me say this to you. If you have 40 all-pro players, and one of those players is disruptive in your locker room, disruptive in your office, you can't win. You got to have a culture inside of that locker room. These big, tough guys, toughest in the world. You have to have a culture of love and respect. And the lowest paid player, the youngest rookie, has to demand the same respect as Peyton Manning does. And if you don't do that in your company, as big or small as it is, you won't get the efficiency and the production that you want to get. And most people don't understand that. Yes?
First of all, thank you for coming and speaking to us. I think it's fair to say we're all really enjoying it. Secondly, you commented earlier about failures, but obviously you've had more than your shares of successes. Number of years ago, what gets you up in the morning? What gets you to the office? What gets you excited today when you don't necessarily have to go in?
I do have to go to work.
Okay.
Because work is not about money. It's a great byproduct, and I enjoy making money, and I enjoy the fruits of the labor, and I enjoy all of that. But I've got to get up and do something worthwhile to help people. I've got to do something to make our little part of the world better, to have product services that really do make a difference in someone's life. And I cannot do that with just, here's our product, go drink the juice for 5 minutes, and that's going to make you better. It's not. It's a process. And you tell people the truth, and you build the process, and you educate, and you keep adding substance and content that makes sense and reacts to things they need. And that's fun for me. We haven't got it figured out yet. And the fun of it is trying to get it figured out. And I would say we've had projects, Matthew and I and the rest of our team in two of our companies, that have taken us at least 3 years to kind of go through and get them going. And that's the fun of it. You know, I'm not digging ditches. And I also feel in control of my life. And my control is I want to do good things for people. And I want to make my little part of the world a little better place. And that's my responsibility. And I like taking that responsibility. I told a group of football players over at Athens Clark Central, half of them live in the projects. And it's tough. It breaks my heart. And I sat down with them and spent a while with them. And my message to them is, you know, I know it's tough, but the person that's going to make the most impact on your life is yourself. You've got to take control of your life. You've got to take responsibility for your life. Get all the help you can. If you got parents in the house, great. If you don't, you got to find those strengths. But you've got to be responsible for yourself. You've got to make the decisions, good or bad. I take that myself, all of my 76 years. I have control of my life. And I know that I can destroy it or I can make it better.
I love that theme of figuring out what you can provide to the market, what value.
Yeah.
If more entrepreneurs just thought about what value I can provide for my customers, it just comes back to you tenfold.
Well, it should be the purity of it, right? When your focus is on your customer or on your prospect or on somebody else, then that's the right thing.
Agree.
When the focus is on selfish me, what's in it for me? How much money can I make? Then we lose it, and we're almost taught that that's what it is, right?
And it applies in life and in relationship. We have about 5 minutes left. We'll get to that.
Yes,
question.
ma'am.
Of all your business endeavors, which one was most rewarding and why?
That's a good question. I can't tell you that. I don't know the answer to that. You know how people tell us, all of us, that we need to find our passion and go our passion? Well, how could Mr. Woodruff, that's a name you may not know, but he pretty much built the Coca-Cola company in the 20s and 30s. How could he be passionate about sugared water? That's not good for you. We didn't know that back then, but about sugared water. How can you get passionate about that? I get passionate about is helping people in business, but it's got to be in every part of your life. I didn't come for money. I didn't make any money in football, but I made some money in business. And I share it. And I like to share it. Nobody picks up my check. If I'm with Michael Jordan, I pick up his check. I pick up the check of all my teammates when I couldn't pick up the check. Because most athletes are freeloaders. They want everybody to pick up the check. They want everybody to take them to play golf. And they do that when they have a lot of money. And I will go, and I'm legendary for this. I'll sit in restaurants with my wife in New York or wherever we might be. And here's a couple. This happened just not long ago. We're in New York and we're at this steakhouse, and here's a couple comes in, and I see they've got in there and they're over their head in the restaurant. So they're ordering the cheapest entree that they're going to share. Well, I just couldn't stand it. So I went back to the manager and I said, go and force on them to have entrees and desserts and so forth, and just tell them that it's on the house. I never told them that I picked up their check. I've been given more than I could have dreamed of, and I give back. Who asked that? What was the question?
Most rewarding.
Yeah, the most rewarding. It's all rewarding. It's all rewarding.
Because of what your objective is.
Well, to help people.
Yeah, to help people.
And when you do that, but my objective of that is every day of my life. And wherever I am, people that come to work at our house, they're treated with great dignity, and nobody's yelled at and nobody's demeaned. I don't care if they burn the house down. I pay them more than the going rate. I don't tip 20%. I tip 40 to 50%, and because I feel strongly about it. I'm not making a show of it. Nobody knows that I'm doing it. It doesn't matter. But the people that wait the tables, they sure like it. I don't give to get. Most of the people I buy their dinners for or lunches for, I never see them again. And 90% of the time, they don't know that I did it. I just cannot stand to sit next to somebody and I think that they're struggling with their check. And if I see that, and sometimes if not even struggling, I still do it. So
that's amazing. Well, thank you for coming out tonight and dedicating your time to us.
Thank you.
Fran's going to be around after this. I've got one final question. He's got his new book, which he's going to sign for each of us. So thank him for that.
Yeah.
You'll have a chance to engage while we have some dinner. So my final question is, knowing what you know today, if you had the ability to go back and talk to the 13-year-old Fran, what would you tell him?
I think that when I'm 13,
or as a teenager.
No, but I'm 13 years old. Think of this. I'm in the 9th grade of Athens High School, which is, that time, the top classification. I'm 13 years old. I'm the starting quarterback on the football team.
Wow.
I was the starting guard and leading scorer on our basketball team, and we went to the semifinals of the state championship. And I was the number 1 pitcher and shortstop when I wasn't pitching, and the leading hitter. I was now 14 in baseball. We went to the North Georgia championship. I probably thought I was pretty special. I don't think I understood the value of humility. And if I went back to the 13-year-old, I'd say, you're not near as good as you think you are. And you need to have a little more humility and appreciation of what you're going through. And at 13 and 14 and 15, I don't think I had that. And when I came into the NFL, I had a chip on my shoulder because I was drafted in the 3rd round. 6 quarterbacks were drafted before me. So I knew they didn't think I could play. And so I went through training camp, and I beat out the other guys, and I played in the first game against the Chicago Bears, who were the monsters of the Midway. We were an expansion team. We were 28-point underdogs. And they played me in the first game. I was 21. No expansion team had ever won a game. Chicago Bears were the top teams in the 30s, 40s, and 50s in the NFL because the owner of the Bears was the founder of the National Football League. He got the best players, and so we beat them 37-13. And I completed 17 of 21 passes for 237 yards and I ran for 4 touchdowns no, I threw for 4 touchdowns, ran for another. Now Marcus Mariota last year, as a rookie, got big kudos that he's the first guy as a rookie to throw for 4 touchdown passes. I sent him a note. I said, but I ran for a touchdown too, and you didn't. But anyway, after that game, I would have liked to have had a little more humility. Because I thought I was, so I had to, you need a level of confidence, right? But I have learned over the years that maybe the greatest asset that we could have is humility. And I've got a good dose of that now. At 13, I didn't have that.
That concludes our interview. The Tarkenton organization has made an incredible gesture and offer. Go to smallbiz.com, enter the promotional code EOAtlanta, and receive 25% off the monthly subscription rate. Thank you for listening. If you have not already subscribed to the show, please go over to iTunes, subscribe, listen to the shows, and then leave us a 5-star rating. Please share this episode with your friends, family, coworkers, or anyone that could benefit from this information. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. And if you have any questions or need help with any of this material, please contact info@thorconklin.com. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.